one of my key aspirations is to leave a skyscraper with fully integrated PVs. So really to provide something back on that building where it's got the right efficiency, the right technology, and it could light up the whole building. It could be the greenest building that we've ever done, right in the centre of London, right in the city of London. That's where it's happening. It's the best industry to be part of. So bringing all that back into the industry is my legacy, or hope to be my legacy in the future. My name's Sedge. I'm Head of Façades for the Mace Group. I think I'm a little bit unique. I'm not saying I'm individually unique, but I came from the background in the facade industry since I left school. I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I was looking to be a solicitor or a barrister. And then I got, for some reason, into working on site construction, putting in facades. And I loved it. It was brilliant. It was a good atmosphere, a good environment to be around. The money was good. And I quite liked it. And within a couple of years, I started to run teams of installation. And I was really young. I was like 18, running a team of people. My career changed, I think, in about 94, 95, when I worked for a big Swiss company in facades. They were renowned in facades, and that really made a big change. And I started to really look into my career about understanding why are we putting that piece of glass in there? Why are we doing this? I don't understand the technology. I'm just putting it in. I'm just doing that part of the work. And I was project managing or site managing, and I wanted to see a difference. So I joined main contracting in 2005. And I really wanted to try and understand why. I kept asking so many questions to my manager at the time of just, why do we do this? What's that there? And I started to learn much more technically why we do things. So I really think because of the way the technology in the facade industry has changed and evolved, and it's got more technology based, it's really challenging what we're doing as an industry. It's required a specialist field of management. And that's really gone from actually people that could have project management skills looking after a facade package into really, over the last 10, 15 years, into specialist facade package managers who can look at the technology, manage the process, but really be the integrating part to make the whole process work. And I think businesses have realised as well that apart from the structure and the facade and the MEP, they're the three main packages which we need to look after in a building project.
Where does the facade aspect come in? When is it at a procurement stage that you start talking about facade design, or where does that come in?
Actually, it's really from the front end. So as soon as we get an inquiry in to the company, we're looking at the facade. We're talking to the supply chain, we're talking to the consultant, the architect, we're talking individually as a team to see how we can add value back to the project, how we can control the project and what supply chain we'd want on the project. If we're lucky enough to secure the project, we then look at how we bring the right supply chain in for that project. Then we procure the facade. Then we run it all the way through from the design, the manufacture, on-site progress, and unfortunately in the defect period as well, which we're doing a lot of work on to really eliminate any defects in that period. So in 2020, I started this journey. I started this investigation, this survey into the amount of embodied carbon we had across our facades. And that showed we had 17,035 tonnes of carbon, which I thought, wow, that seems an astronomical figure. Is that correct? So we started to do a bit more analysis. We started to reach out to some industry leaders in Pilkington, Guardian, Saint-Gobain, these glass experts, and then more into the aluminium industry with some of the facade aluminium extruders, and notably Hydro. And the link really was with Hydro because they launched Circle 75 the year before. So it was really good to take part in that launch, but then to really say, well, can we start to use some of that technology, some of that carbon knowledge into what we do in facades? And more discussions, more talks with the industry. In the end, we set up our partnership in November 2021, which meant we would get guaranteed supply of low carbon aluminium extrusions across our projects, which was revolutionary in the industry. I don't think anybody had done that or actually said that's what we're going to do. So I communicated that to our supply chain. We got a bit of kickback at first saying, you can't dictate to us what we're going to use. And it wasn't more about dictating, it was really more saying we need to make a stand on carbon and we need to make it now, rather than let the industry just keep going when we've got the technology there.
So we heard a lot about different types of sustainable facades in the last few years, especially. There are biometric designs, there are vertical gardens. Is there a specific model where you see the most potential for the future?
I think that's a really interesting question and quite a complex question actually. We see more integration of greenery being used in facades because we see that benefit of adding back to sustainability and making a more breathable facade, if you like, and it's not a true term, but it's bringing back touch, texture, and actually the green environment back into the facade and integrating it. But what's not measurable is the value that adds back in regards to carbon or energy efficiency. It's a very good message, and actually you can see if we have more living green area, people feel better. You know, it's a much better for the people when they get a better feeling. But for a measurable consistency, it's very difficult to measure. But what we are looking at is things like building integrated photovoltaics or BIPVs. So now the efficiencies are coming in the industry and they're bringing it technology, and the more it gets used, the more people use it, we're getting better technology being brought forward, which will provide better kilowatts peak per metre squared output. So we're looking at big schemes and we're saying, well, actually, if we put some clear vision pane photovoltaics in there, we're not affecting the aesthetics at all, but what we're really doing is providing some energy output back into the building. That could be used to motorise the blind. It could be doing so many different things into the building, lighting some of the lights, or just a different aspect. It might help with the cooling. So that's one area. The second area we're really looking at is smart glass technology, whether it's switchable glass or whether it's other sort of glass technology where it can reduce the G value. And the G value is the solar radiation value that comes through the building envelope. And obviously that provides cooling or needs cooling. But actually if we're using that and people can start playing with that, if people start playing with that technology, they can start maybe having an individual. You go into an office floor plate, you've got 400 people sitting on the floor plate. 50 people might feel different than the other 50 people in where they need to be cool, whether they're hot. It's up to the industry really to come with some good efficiency on the way we build, the recycled content of materials we use, take off material that was on the building and reuse it, but in a different way. That could help reduce costs, but also provide the good carbon message of what we need to do in the industry.
What are some examples of how technology is transforming building, especially in regards to facades?
Well, we've looked at that, and I've looked at it over the last 3 or 4 years. When we get close to finishing a project, we start snagging the project or checking that it's to the standard. I hate that. We get to PC or when we hand over the building, and it's called practical completion. I mean, it just doesn't sound right to me. We should be handing over a building that's finished. But how can we do that when the end part is so short? Well, we should be inspecting earlier. So what we've done is introduce facade inspections using drone technology. So what we do now, where we can, because obviously you can't get permissions everywhere around London, but we have on some of our key projects now where we're putting a drone looking at the facade from 5 metres away, going up and down an elevation and providing that imagery back to the architects and the design team and the client team to review, to zoom in, to inspect, to put their comments on. But we can then react to that now through the build of the project rather than at the end of the project. To get that clean aluminium out of a dirty product as such, or post-consumer piece of scrap, and then reuse that back into the industry with 75% content, I think it's revolutionary. And I think to get onto the coattails of partners like that are dragging ourselves on forward, it's just, I think, incentivising. It's providing innovation within the industry. And I want to be a part of that. I want to have those people as our partners. Skeptics might say, well, where are they getting all this scrap aluminium from? Well, that's up to our job in the industry to provide them with enough aluminium to recycle. And that's what I'm challenging us and our clients now is the products that we're working on, the projects we're working on, let's take those products out, let's give them back to these people where they can really provide good benefit back into the industry. Whether we use it or not, at least we've got that journey and that message that we must provide and drive low carbon solutions.
So looking beyond the technological limitations of today, what do you imagine in 30 years? What's going to be like the big changes in facade design? And where would you like it to go?
Well, I've recently turned 50, so I've got 15 years left. I'm not going to stop, but I've got 15 years left. And one of my key aspirations is to leave a skyscraper with fully integrated PVs. So really to provide something back on that building where it's got the right efficiency, the right technology, and it could light up the whole building. It could be the greenest building that we've ever done. But also now, and I'm on to working groups for CWCT, which is the Centre of Window and Cladding Technology, where we're looking at challenging carbon, we're looking at circularity, we're looking at refurbishment, and we're really trying to produce some white papers for the industry about, do we design for disassembly? Do we say that that product needs to be identified for all its performance criteria and all its product values, so the next person, the next generation can go to that product, they know how to disassemble it, they know what the product contains, and they know what they can recycle. And they might be able to recycle more as the technology drives. But yeah, if you ask me that question, my dream is to leave with a skyscraper with fully integrated photovoltaics and with the lowest carbon aluminium, glass, etc., on the building.
Where would you put it?
Right in the centre of London, right in the city of London. That's where it's happening. It's the best industry to be part of. So bringing all that back into the industry is my legacy, or hope to be my legacy in the future.